We are proudly sponsored by St Wilfrid's Hospice, enabling people to live well at the end of life.
Good morning. You're listening to Eastbourne Youth Radio at 87.7 FM. Welcome to the St Wilfrid's Hospice Hour. My name is Tristan Gaston and I will be your host. I'm broadcasting live from Eastbourne at East Sussex College. Over the next hour, we will be talking to 5 different people who work directly from the charity, which is really exciting. They support people across a huge area, around 245,000 people, providing specialist palliative and end-of-life care, comfort and support for patients and their friends and families. But before we have our first interview, let's take a quick look at the weather. Right now, in Eastbourne, it's currently 5 degrees Celsius with a high of 7 degrees Celsius and a low of 1 degree. It currently feels like 2 degrees, which isn't very warm. That's it for the weather. All right, let's hear from our very first guest.
You're listening to Eastbourne Youth Radio on 87.7 FM and www.eyr.org.uk.
Before we get started, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, I'm Georgina and I work at the Hospice as the People Director.
And for anyone listening who may not be familiar with St Wilfrid's, what does the Hospice do for the local community?
So we look after people who have life-limiting illnesses. We have a inpatient unit, which is next door to the college. We work in the community, which is probably where we do a lot of our work. And those teams are our doctors and nurses. We have physiotherapists, occupational therapists, counselling services. And what we are about is trying to get people to be able to live well at the end of their life. So that's really about quality of life. And our mission is being in a community that talks openly about dying, living well, and that nobody dies alone, afraid, or in pain. So we support patients, families, loved ones, and we do that across Eastbourne, Seaford, Hailsham, Uckfield, Heathfield, and all of the areas in between.
If you don't mind answering this, how do you decide a patient's quality of life if it had to result in, becoming to the end of their life? Do you know how that would be decided?
What the quality of their life is? I think it's very individual, and actually when we talk about living well, that will be what they feel is living well, not what we feel. So it's individual to the person.
Thank you. And what does a typical day actually look like for you?
For me, well, I am People Director, so I do all things people. I look after and support all of our staff and our volunteers. We have about 230 staff and about 450-ish volunteers, so it's quite a few people. I spend a lot of my time planning to make sure that we have enough of both to be able to look after our patients. I sort out some of our training to make sure that everyone's got the right skills to do their job, make sure that it's very fair and equitable at the hospice, and a big part of my job is to make sure that we're legally compliant, which is, I suppose, the more boring stuff that I do.
Would you mind giving an example of what kind of training you have to do to the staff?
So for our clinicians, so our nurses and our doctors, that's very, very clinical-based training, and I think Katie will probably talk a little bit more about that when you speak to her. I think we've got some training that's being run today, conflict management, so really about communication and de-escalation. We will have clinical skills specifically, so that might be how to administer medication. We do communication training, so lots and lots of different aspects.
Thank you. And do you know how the hospice is funded, and do you think ongoing support is important?
Oh, it's incredibly important. So I think important to note is that our hospice services are free to our patients and families. And only about 30% of that is funded by the NHS. So that means that 70% needs to be raised by the community that we service. That's done through some of our events that Beth will talk you through later. We have retail shops. We've got e-commerce. So if you do a bit of shopping on eBay and Vinted, that will be, we're on there. And a lot of people leave a gift to us in their will. So it's funded through that as well. But it takes about £21,000 a day to run the hospice. So that means that we have to fundraise £15,000 a day, which is a lot of money. And that's why it's so important for everybody and anybody in the community to get involved and help us with that.
Have you ever had any scary situations where you haven't made enough funding?
Well, at the moment, we are struggling financially. I think that's been in the news as well. And that is because the gifts that we get in wills we haven't had as many recently as we have had in past years, which means that we have had to look at how we fund the hospice in a bit more detail.
And as a people director, how do you support staff development and learning and well-being across the hospice?
Well, we've got 3 awards at the moment for our wellbeing at the hospice. So we've got a wellbeing at work and compassionate employers. We've won the Gold Awards for those and just got our Silver Award for investors in diversity. We have all sorts of things from a wellbeing perspective. So we've got something called an employee assistance programme, which means that people can get 24/7 support, counselling, if they need it. We've got multiple support groups. We have mental health first aiders, wellbeing champions, access to health checks, all sorts of things like that. We've got an education team that makes sure that we've got the skills needed to do the work that we do. We do apprenticeships. Lots of our staff undertake those, different training courses, and ultimately we want people to feel safe and supported because that's what enables them to deliver good patient care.
And what opportunities do you think there are available for young people to get involved, maybe either through something like volunteering or even like early career paths?
So I am going to leave Vicky to talk to you about what the volunteering opportunities are for young people. But actually what we do have is if you would go to the East Sussex Careers website, there's a local industry tab in there that tells you all about how to get routes into healthcare. It guides you through kind of the education that's needed, qualifications, and then there are video clips. One of them for the healthcare assistant was filmed next door at the hospice, and you can hear one of our healthcare assistants talking about what a day in the life in the hospice is like.
Thank you. I will definitely ask Katie that question. And just to end off for you, I've got a fun question for you. If the hospice could have a pet, what would it be?
Well, I think it would have to be a golden retriever. I'm absolutely a dog person, but I think they're calm, they're friendly, they will cheer you up. So a little bit like a hospice, but furry.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Georgina.
You're welcome.
Up next, we have an exclusive interview with Katie, but before that, here's Messy by Lola Young.
Like -4 degrees, and I get what you're saying. I just really don't want to hear it right now. Can you shut up for like once in your life? Listen to me. I took your nice words of advice about how you think I'm gonna die lucky if I turn 33. Okay, so yeah, I smoke like a chimney. I'm not skinny and I pull a Britney every other week. But cut me some slack. Who do you want me to be? 'Cause I'm too messy. And then I'm too stupid dumb. You hate it when I cry and one text or two would be nice. And please, don't pull those faces when I've been out walking like every day it's just one bottle of wine or two. But hey, you can't even talk. You smoke trees just to help you sleep. Then why you out getting stoned at 4 o'clock? And then you come home to me and don't say hello, 'cause I got high again and forgot to fold my clothes. 'Cause I'm too messy and then I'm just too damn clean. You told me get a job and you asked where the hell I've been. And I'm too perfect till I open my big mouth. I want to be me. Is that not allowed? And I'm too clever and then I'm too stupid dumb. You hate it when I cry unless it's that time of the month. And I'm too perfect so I show you that I'm not 1,000 people I could be for you. And you hate the whole damn lot. You hate the whole damn lot. You hate the whole damn lot. And I'm too messy and then I'm just too damn clean. You told me get a job, then you asked where the hell I've been. And I'm too perfect till I open my big mouth. I want to be me. Is that not allowed? And I'm too clever and then I'm too stupid dumb. You hate it when I cry unless it's that time of the month. And I'm too perfect till I show you that I'm not 1,000 people I could be for you. And you hate the whole damn lot. 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 You hate the whole damn lot.
Welcome back to Eastbourne Youth Radio here at 87.7 FM. I'm here with another exclusive interview. Before we start, would you mind introducing yourself?
Oh, my name's Katie. I'm the one and only advanced nurse practitioner at St Wilfrid's Hospice.
And before I ask you a question that I have for you, I was just talking with Georgina. She said that one of these questions also will probably be better for you. So what opportunities are there for young people to get involved, either through volunteering or early career paths?
Oh, I think that's the one for Vicky. I think
Ooh.
she told you to ask me about training opportunities for the clinical team. So we do loads of different things. A lot of it's mandatory training. So we have to prove that we're proficient in things like loading a syringe pump, and we have to do a test every year on medication to make sure that we're competent. You know, you have to get 100% on those tests because, you know, you just can't afford to make mistakes on them. And we run like skills days for our registered nurses and our healthcare assistants, and they have like a whole range of different things in them. So a lot of that's about like symptom control. So, for example, one of the sessions that I teach is on nausea and vomiting and how we can manage that symptom. And then we also teach students from Brighton Medical School. They come over and have a teaching session with us. So we do loads and loads of teaching.
Thank you. And what does your role as an advanced nurse practitioner involve day to day?
Well, I'm very lucky because I get to wear lots of hats as an advanced practitioner. Obviously, I've worked up to this position in the last few years. So, it's a bit of a mix, really. So I'm part of the community team. So we've got, from a clinical side of things, we've got an inpatient team, so patients who come and stay on the ward with us. And then the vast majority of the people that we support are out in the community. So we see them at home with their families, in care homes, in nursing homes. So it's a real mix of people that we see. And I get to do a bit of everything. So I go to the ward and support the junior doctors on the wards because they do kind of rotational posts, so they don't always have a lot of experience in palliative care. And at the moment, I'm kind of working on how we can help the flow between the community patients and the inpatient unit. So sometimes people go home from the inpatient unit after a stay. So I'm getting quite involved with those things. But my clinical role is really about managing the most complex cases. So where there's kind of a lot of issues around symptom management, and we don't just look at the physical, so we would look at like the social needs and the spiritual needs of somebody and their psychological needs as well. So that's a whole kind of bigger picture look at things, and often they're not separate. Everything kind of connects with everything else. So one of the parts of my role is that I'm a non-medical prescriber, so I do a lot of prescribing. Sometimes that's for symptom control, like pain relief, or nausea and vomiting, and sometimes it's for medications as people are in the kind of coming into the last days of their life. That's a really great part of my job. It's a really incredible thing to be able to do as a nurse, to be able to prescribe the medications. Like, I'm not waiting, I can just do this assessment, I can get these drugs prescribed and get them for as soon as they're needed and not having to wait. So that's awesome. And then I do a bit of service development stuff as well. So I did a pilot last year on, we were running like a virtual hospice, which is kind of like a virtual ward model, which we're still looking at how we're going to develop that going forwards. I do kind of a lot of work with the eye donation group. So lots of people that we look after are not able to donate their organs, but they would still be able to donate their eyes when they die. So that's something that I'm really interested in. And I work with other professionals as well to try and improve practice. So we have like a forum that we hold with some of the community nursing teams, looking at like our advanced care planning and how we can help each help each other kind of do the best job that we can. So it's such a varied job. I do so many things over the course of the weeks, and it changes every day.
You said you do a lot of everything. What do you think your favourite thing is to do in that bit of everything?
Oh, my favourite thing to do is always going to be spending time with the patients. It's that's why you become a nurse, I think, is to be able to look after people and help improve their lives. So that's always going to be my favourite bit. And my team, to be honest, everybody who comes into this job, all the people that want to work for a hospice and care for people at the end of their lives, are just some of the most incredible people you'll ever meet. And so I've got awesome friends and awesome colleagues who I just see go above and beyond for our patients every day, and that's inspiring.
And how did you actually get into nursing?
Well, when I was young, once upon a time, I didn't know what to do with my life, which I guess lots of your listeners probably feel. And I did a degree, when I left school, I did a degree in public service management, for no real good reason other than I didn't really know what to do, and it seemed like it had some modules that looked quite interesting. And when I finished, I didn't know what to do. And my stepmum said to me, why don't you look at nursing? I think you'd be really, really good at nursing. And I was really lucky to train at a time when nursing was funded. So my degree was, my university fees were paid by the government at the time. And even when I started my nursing degree, I didn't know if it was going to be the right path for me. It was just a gamble. I was just like, yeah, all right, seems like a good idea at the time. And I remember doing my first day on placement on a stroke ward. And I just kind of turned up at the ward and I said, what do I do? And somebody said, right, do this. And I was off. That was it. I've never looked back. I came off that shift absolutely buzzing and thinking, yeah, this is where I'm meant to be. This is what I'm meant to do with my life. This is who I am.
So would you say your mum kind of partially inspired you to become an advanced nurse practitioner?
Yeah, that was my stepmum, but there were lots of inspirational women in my life. My mum used to run a charity as well, so I'm glad that I'm in the charitable sector now. So, and my nan was the other person who was like, oh yeah, you should definitely do nursing. That's a great fit for you.
And in what ways at St Wilfrid's do you believe that you make an impact with your patients and their families?
Well, it can be a sad, there's a lot of sadness in looking after people who are approaching the end of their life, but there's so much joy in it as well. And the thing that I really love is being able to hear people's stories. A lot of the time, the people I meet have had lots of treatment and they've been to lots of medical appointments, and all the care that they've received has been excellent, but really about the medical treatment and not about them as a person. And it's like the ability to bring back what really matters for somebody, to sit with what's happened to them and hear what their life has been like and who they are and what matters to them now, and then to be in a position where you might be able to help, to be able to give them more time, more quality time with their family where they're not in pain, and to be in a position where I can have really difficult conversations and sit with some of the the hard feelings that people have without fear or judgment, and give them space to express what really matters. It's truly a privilege. I always value it.
And for anyone listening right now who's interested in becoming a nurse, what advice would you give to someone who actually might be interested in going to the nursing field?
Well, I would say for me, nursing isn't a job. It is part of who I am. You know, if you ask me to describe my personality, nursing would be part of it. It's about, you know, you have to really want to care for other people. And it's hard work, you know, so you've got to be able to put in the graft. It is hard work, but it's just incredibly rewarding. And particularly if you're the kind of person who is curious and loves working with people and wants to know more about this or about that, you know, that's what makes it a rewarding job. If you're that kind of person who wants to know more about people, I would say if you want to go into nursing, you need to try and look after yourself early doors. I nag all my team about it all the time, but you can't keep doing this job long term if you give too much of yourself and you're not taking care of yourself. So always take care of yourself. And the other advice I would give is that there is not one kind of nurse. I'm in palliative care now. That's where my journey's taken me as a nurse. But I trained with one of my colleagues who has a completely different career to me. You know, she worked in A&E and urgent care. She became a specialist in that field. She went to spend two years working in St Helena, the island, running a hospital there. You know, so you can do anything. It's such a varied job. There is nothing. You know, there are so many different pathways and kinds of nurse that you can be.
And what specialist field of nursing could you never work in?
Oh, that's a good question. I've always found, sorry to anybody who's in this position, but I really struggle with like ulcers and legs and feet. Nothing below the knee for me. That's not my domain at all. Yes.
It's been great talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for coming. Stick around as we have another exclusive interview with someone else who also works at St Wilfrid's. But first, here's Good Luck Babe by Chapel Roan.
It's fine, it's cool. You can say that we ain't nothing, but you know the truth. And guess I'm the fool with their arms out like an angel through the car sunroof. I don't wanna call it off, but you don't wanna call it love. You only wanna be the one that I call baby. 'Cause 100 boys and boys shoot another shot to stop the feeling.
We are proudly sponsored by St Wilfrid's Hospice, enabling people to live well at the end of life.
Welcome back, and I'm Tristan Gaston, and I'm your host for the St Wilfrid's Hospice Hour, and I'm joined with...
My name's Beth Hillier.
And what is your role?
I am the event manager at St Wilfrid's Hospice, which sits in the fundraising team.
And what do you do in your role?
So, in the fundraising department, we have multiple different what we call income streams, so different types of fundraising, but events is quite a big part of what we do at St Wilfrid's Hospice. So as events manager, I look after a small team of us. There's 3 of us in the events team, and we sit in a team which is a wider team called community fundraising. So we look after all of our events that we put on. So any fundraising event, we have a big portfolio. We usually do at least sort of 5 or 6 hospice own events in a year. But we also look after people who are doing their own fundraising challenge events. So things like running all the marathons, Eastbourne Half Marathon, London Marathon, Brighton Marathon, and then people that just want to take on their own challenge. So it could be swimming, walking. We also look after people who do big challenges overseas. So we've just had a big group come back from the Sahara Desert. So I'm probably going quite a lot of detail here, but just to give you an overarching answer, sort of the events manager role is supporting anyone in our local community who wants to be part of an event to help raise funds for the hospice.
And do you think the events that you do are the best way for people to know about St Wilfrid's?
That's a really good question. I wouldn't say it's the best way. I think there are multiple different ways, and different audiences will find us in different ways, but I think they're very visible parts of St Wilfrid's identity. So we've worked on our events over time to develop them into individual brands. So we kind of think that, so our Rainbow Run, for instance, will be quite a well-known event in the community. So people will connect that to St Wilfrid's Hospice. So it's I think with events, you don't have to necessarily know about the hospice or have a connection to it to them to want to take part in an event. And that's a really good way into learning more about the hospice.
And what does a typical day look like for you, especially when preparing for a major event?
So it very, very varied. If I talk you through today, actually, that will sort of give you an idea of how varied it can be. So this morning, before coming to the college, I met with one of our supporters and our communications manager. Our supporter Lynn was filming a video for us for our gala. So me and Madeline assisted her with her filming of that. So that was before this. And then I've headed here to do this interview with you guys today. And then I'll be going back to work soon, and I'll be I've forgotten the word, reviewing the silent auction brochure for our gala, which is coming up in 2 weeks' time. Then I've got a telephone call with the band member that's playing at our gala, and then I've got lots of emails to do to different supporters and people supplying different prizes. So it's very varied, very busy. I couldn't tell you there was one typical day. All I would say is you kind of pivot from different things that are all connected to events and supporting our people that are fundraising for us.
And would you mind giving us an overview of the big fundraising events that you do at St Wilfrid's? Yeah,
of course. So the ones that we put on ourselves, so we call them hospice own events, we've got quite a wide variety, so it attracts different audiences. I mentioned before we have Rainbow Run, which is a 5K colour run, which is super fun. It's been going for 5 years now, and it's very, very much loved in the community. And then we have Starlight Stroll, which is another big one, been running for 11 years, and we have supporters who typically walk in memory of someone. They'll walk under the stars and lay a lantern down for somebody in memory usually in memory of somebody. They're just our two sort of biggest ones that you might have heard of, but we also have the gala, which is coming up, our Christmas gala. We have something in the summer called Lunch At, which is another big sort of a really big fundraiser. We have overseas challenges. So yeah, a few weeks back we just took 52 people across 2 weeks to the Sahara Desert to trek there. And what else do we have? We have a fire walk, which is happening in March right next door at the hospice. That might interest some of your listeners. And what else? We have a whole variety. We have art auctions, an opera event coming up. So if we can make something creative into a fundraising event, we will.
And how can young people get involved, or even schools get involved in supporting or taking part in your events?
So we have a really good way to sort of get involved if you would like to sort of look at it from a experience point of view. If it's an area of interest you're looking to go into, I would recommend volunteering at events. So Vicky can tell you a bit more about how to volunteer and how to get involved, but we always need plenty of volunteers at our events, and I think it's a really nice way for young people to get into sort of the events industry and with that experience. But if you'd also like to take part, we have most of our events are available to the younger people, but I think every event is available for 16 plus essentially. So we would recommend signing up. I think the firewalk would be a really fun one for young people. You have to be 16 for that one. It's basically really quickly walking across hot coal, 8 feet of hot coal. But yeah, there's various different ways, and I think if you're interested, listen up to Vicky when she talks about volunteering.
Thank you. Yeah. And what do you think the ultimate event organiser's survival item is?
Survival item. Okay, I think on a daily basis when I'm working in the office, when any of us are working, coffee, because it can be a very busy day, and it involves talking to lots of different people. I won't promote coffee too much, but that's how I get through. And the survival item on an actual event site would probably be cable ties. We have to have hundreds of cable ties to fix everything, or duct tape. So cable ties and duct tape.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Beth.
That's okay. Thank you so much.
Stay tuned as we have another exclusive interview with Vicky, who works at St Wilfrid's. But before that, here's What's Up by the Four Non-Blondes.
My life is still trying to get up that great big hill of hope for a destination. I realized quickly when I knew I should that the world was made up of this brotherhood of man, for whatever that means. Into a crisis times when I'm lying in bed just to get it all out what's in my head. And I am feeling a little peculiar. And so I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream from the top of my lungs, what's going on? And I say, hey, hey, hey. revolution. And I pray, oh my God, do I pray? I pray every single day for revolution. Into a crisis times when I'm lying in bed just to get it all out what's in my head. And I am feeling a little peculiar. Into a wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream from the top of my lungs, what's going on? And I say, hey, 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 hey. I said, hey, what's going on? And I said, hey, 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 hey. I said, hey, what's going on? And I said, hey, 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 hey. I said, hey, what's going on? And I said, hey, I said, hey, what's going on? Ooh. 25 years and my life is still trying to get up that great big hill of hope for a destination.
Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, we are having an exclusive interview with Vicky Ford, who works at St Wilfrid's. Vicky, welcome to the show.
Hello.
It's nice to have you here. To start, could you introduce yourself and your role at St Wilfrid's?
So my name is Vicky and I am part of the volunteer engagement team at St Wilfrid's.
And what does a typical day look like for you?
A typical day for me is, I think, quite exciting. So there's always the opportunity to meet with lots of volunteers. So as a team, we help recruit volunteers into all the different roles we have. So an average day might be meeting someone, just having a chat with them, trying to find out what they think, where they want to volunteer within the hospice. It also quite often it will be talking to existing volunteers, catching up with them, seeing how they're doing, if they're enjoying their roles, catching up with the managers of the volunteer teams to see how it's all going. Also, there's quite often opportunity to look at new roles, developing different volunteering opportunities, and just generally quite people-y, which is fab.
And what volunteer opportunities are available at St Wilfrid's, both inside and outside of the hospice?
So we've got a huge number of roles. We've got about 450 volunteers who are actively doing a shift a week, or sometimes a shift every couple of weeks. Inside the hospice, they are literally scattered throughout, and what's so lovely is you perhaps wouldn't know, they mingle with the staff, you maybe wouldn't be able to tell who is who, but we have people who are patient facing, so helping deliver patient meals, support patients on the ward. We have lots of administration volunteers who are dotted around in the different areas, so they might be with with the fundraising team, with the donations. As a volunteer team, we've got a couple of volunteers. We also have people in the laundry, flowers, so gardeners all throughout the hospice. And then further afield, we've got a massive retail team, so we've got 10 shops. We're from Seaford to Polegate and then all the way up to Uckfield, so we've got volunteers in all of those shops. And we also have community support volunteers who are out in the community with patients or family members, sometimes going for a walk, going for a cup of tea, just like a befriending role. So they're everywhere.
And for anyone listening who wants to get involved at St Wilfrid's for volunteering, how can they actually first get involved?
So the very first thing we would say is you can contact the volunteer engagement team. It's on our website. You can pop in and have a chat. And we would just start off, just find a little bit more about you, find out what might be interesting. Or if you've got a particular interest, so if, for example, you live near one of our shops and you think that's the way you want to go, and just go in, pop and speak to the shop manager. You can speak to existing volunteers and they'll give you a flavour of what it's like. So I think just make that first contact, whether it's into the hospice building or in a shop, and from there you'll be scooped up and have a conversation about your volunteering.
And could you tell us about the Young Clinical Volunteer Programme that you have at St Wilfrid and what people can expect from it?
Cool. So that's very exciting. That is a 6-month programme we run every year, and it's aimed at young people, usually between 16 and like 23, 24. So sixth form, sometimes at university, and it is a 6-month course. You do 4-hour shift a week, and you are predominantly based on our inpatient unit, so you are supporting patients, their family, their visitors, but you're working really closely or volunteering really closely with their healthcare assistants, with nurses, but you also get to interact with everybody else, all the other teams, so there'll be doctors, physiotherapists, occupational therapists. So it's really good. A lot of volunteers who come into that role want to go into a medical profession, and it's like a first experience of a clinical environment. But that you don't need to be. You get so many skills, like people skills, build your confidence, learn how to work with different teams. So you don't need to be. But actually, if you're thinking about a career in medicine, it's a really good, gives you a proper taste, 6 months to see how you find it. So.
And do you think volunteering would look good on your CV?
Oh gosh, yes. So that is one of the benefits, I think, particularly for young people. One of the massive benefits for volunteering is it's different from work. So not everyone has, but if you've got the capacity to work and volunteer, it just makes you stand out a little bit. It gives something different, and it illustrates that you've given your time for free. You're doing something altruistic to support. For us, it's to support our patients and families, but whatever volunteering role you might be. So I would encourage everybody, if they can, if they've got the time, and also you just get to experience different things. So you look at our young clinical volunteers, they are doing things on the ward that they wouldn't be able to be paid to do that. They wouldn't have the training, but as a volunteer, they've got a big support team around them, so they get to experience different things. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming, Vicky.
Thank you very much.
We are nearing the end of our show, but don't leave yet. We have our final interview with someone who volunteers for St Wilfrid's at one of their 11 shops in their catchment area. But first, here's Left Hand Free by Alts J.
Big up Battolini, Mini, Money, Mo, and Flower, you're the chosen one. Well, your left hand's free, and your right hand grip, with another left hand watches right and self. Swartz is gone. Big up Battolini, Mini, Money, Mo, and Flower, you're the chosen one. Well, your left hand's free. Well, my 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 left hand's free. Oh, no.
Welcome back to the show. We are joined here by a volunteer who works in one of the St Wilfrid shops. Would you mind starting by introducing yourself?
Hello, hi, my name's Jamie.
And before we continue, I heard you wanted to shout someone out.
Yeah, I'd just like to say to Ken, who hopefully is listening in, who was going to visit Eastbourne this week, but he's unable to.
Oh, I hope he feels better soon.
Yeah.
How did you first get involved volunteering with St Wilfrid's?
I started at the donation hub, which was super amazing, very busy, lots and lots going on. And then after a couple months there, I decided that maybe one of the retail shops would be best suited and more convenient. So I went off to Terminus Road.
And why do you think you chose St Wilfrid's over any other places to volunteer?
Hospices have such a great place in the community, not only helping people at the end of their life, but also the families and friends of the patient. And I know they're very underfunded, so I just felt like if I'm going to give my time, I'd like to do it for a worthwhile cause.
And what do you think you enjoy most about volunteering there?
Oh, I love everything. I really enjoy the donations, like the raw donations that come in. Donations get sent in from the hub where they're already sorted by other volunteers. But when the raw, we call them the raw, donations come in and you look through and you price up and put out things that people have donated. It's quite exciting.
And do you have any fun experiences that you can think of off the top of your head that whilst working there?
Every day is quite different. There's a really nice group of people that volunteer at the Terminus Road branch. We do have a giggle and we have a laugh, and some of the things that come in, it might be a selection of hats. And the other day we got a whole load of corkscrews, funny enough, that came in made out of different bones. That someone had handcrafted that were quite amazing. So it's never is a day the same.
And what would you say to a young person thinking of volunteering in one of these shops?
It's good fun. It's good fun. You get a nice, gentle introduction into retail. There's always something to do. There's never a dull moment. There's always something to be doing. If it's, serving, sorting, pricing, labelling. There's always something to be getting on with.
And I know you've already mentioned an unusual item that's come into the shop. Are there any other unusual items that have come in?
Wow. The other day I did purchase myself a really lovely mirror jacket that came in that was out on the shop floor. In Terminus Road we have a nice little designer area. And it was a lovely Karen Millen jacket that had, it's probably got about 200 tiny mirrors all over it. So that was actually the bargain of the week for me. But there's always something that I try very hard not to buy. Yeah, it's lovely.
Thank you so much for coming. It's been really fun talking to you.
Lovely.
We're almost at the end of our show, but first, here's Time of the Season by the Zombies, dedicated to Ken.
It's the time of the season when love runs high. In this time, give it to me easy and let me try with pleasured hands to take you in this time to promised lands, to show you everyone. It's the time of the season for loving. What's your name? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? He Is he rich like me? Has he take us anytime to show you what you need to live? Tell it to me slowly. Tell you why I really want to know. It's the time of the season for loving. What's your name? Who's your daddy? Here is he rich like me? Has he taken anytime to show you what you need to live? Tell it to me slowly. Tell you why I really want to know. It's the time of the season for loving.
We are proudly sponsored by St Wilfrid's Hospice, enabling people to live well at the end of life.
And that brings us to the end of the St Wilfrid's Hospice Hour. A huge thank you for all of our guests today, Georgina, Katie, Beth, Vicky and Jamie. And of course, everyone at St Wilfrid's for all the incredible work that they do. Up next, we've got the Cavendish School coming in, but first, here's Party For You by Charlie XCX.
This is Eastbourne Youth Radio on 87.7 on the FM band or on the internet at www.EYR.org.UK.
Like a sound you hear that lingers in your ear, but you can't forget from sundown to sunset now.
Eastbourne Youth Radio, coming to your ears for 25 years.
It's gonna